45 minutes. Oh, by the way, not only is our gracious host the village president, but he's a restaurateur par excellence. I mean, Maya del Sol, Park Avenue, if you can get over there, one of the best Latin American meals I've ever had in my life. Kudos, yeah.
Keep on going.
Okay. So I started with the pulpo ceviche, and so how do the dominoes set up and fall down from a business point of view? I'm here representing the business community. Why am I concerned as a business person? I got into this space avocationally about 15 years ago. I needed a mercenary pursuit for the office I was leading for my consulting firm, wanted to look good to clients. Oh yeah, those are great community-oriented people. Ended up that I really had a heart for young children, but I started to very quickly realize the return on investment argument. The return on investment argument for early childhood, and not just early childhood education, but early child health care, early prenatal parenting education, family education, post-birth, all of those issues have returns on investment that have been proven by the likes of Art and Jim Heckman and other people. So the evidence is incontrovertible. So still, why as a business leader would I be concerned? Well, because here's some stats. 63% of workers will need some post-secondary education to qualify for jobs by 2018. As you know, more of our economy is becoming technically oriented, moving away from manufacturing. Only 19 states are on track to meet that benchmark. By 2018, 76 million baby boomers will have retired, and only 51 million people are in the hopper to replace them. That's a 25 million worker gap. We're below average compared to other nations in math, and we're only about average in reading and science. So there's a crisis in this country with respect to maintaining our robust, vital economy, our workforce, our ability for people to advance their lives, their communities, to stay stable in family relationships, and all of these things are linked. So this is truly a family values issue, no matter which way you look at it, because it has to do with the health of our country. So that's what I've learned over time. The dominoes stack up by starting at the bottom here. And these are statistics that are familiar to a lot of you. Art and the other folks have mentioned some of these. If we can get people to, if we can get children to start school ready to learn, and it's all about readiness to start kindergarten. That's what this is really all about. I mean, that's the metric that we really want to measure. But we have to start several years before that. And most people are starting to come to the conclusion that we need to start prenatally, even. If we can get children to read at grade level by third grade, they're 4 times more likely to graduate from high school. And if children graduate, they're more likely to get a higher education. It doesn't necessarily mean that they go to college. There are a lot of jobs still in our economy that require only a high school or maybe a post-high school certification or degree. And that makes us able to employ tax-paying citizens, which is what it's really all about at the end of the day in terms of keeping our workforce vital. Why do business people really care about this? Well, and what drives our engagement? We need something to get focused on. As most of you are probably, or have probably run businesses yourselves in those 2 hours when you're not mayoring during the day, you know that you've got to focus on an agenda. You don't have time to be playing around in an issue that feels good, or that may not have much momentum, or that doesn't have some palpable outcomes that you can measure. So business people in this space want to have a focused agenda. What are we all about? What are we trying to approve? What are we trying to prove? What are we trying to improve? And what kind of momentum exists? Do we have people in the space already? Are there business leaders in our community that are concerned about this? And if so, why? let's latch on to some of that enthusiasm. The coordinated outreach by the advocacy community is critical. We're in this avocationally, as I said. We're not the experts. We depend on the experts to be able to drive the agenda, tell us exactly where we need to take action, who we need to talk to. A lot of our job is talking to legislators, frankly, and governors and mayors. And then we want to come up with solutions, not just a problem statement. Let's get beyond just going with the strategy process. Let's get to the strategy execution, which you can all resonate with. Quality programs, you've heard that talked about. We want to make sure we're into supporting quality, high quality. And quality is determinable. There are lots of states and communities with quality metrics in place, methodologies. So quality is not a problem. We can define quality. We are doing it. We should be supporting quality because that's what's proven to advance young children to the point where they are ready to learn and successful in school. And then results, obviously, that can have consequence. Here's a smattering of involvement that we have at Ready Nation. And Ready Nation, by the way, is a project of America's Promise Alliance, and that's General Colin Powell's organization. And we are specifically concerned with advocating, mobilizing business people to support better early childhood policy, not necessarily greater public investment, but we are doing a fair amount of that with our new CEO task force, because we recognize that while all the money can't come from public investment, most of it cannot come from private investment or from foundational concerns. It has to come from public investment. And frankly, that aligns with the importance, the gravity of the issue. We're all in this together. When we make progress here, it raises the tide for all boats. So this is where we're involved in a variety of settings. We approach each state on a customized basis based on political legacy, culture, where they are with their educational system, what kinds of other supports they have in place, financial or not. Here are some of our business champions. You can see we've got a lot of CEOs involved, a variety of Business Roundtable, Chamber of Commerce folks. And these people are some of the people who are on our board. And some of them are just supporters of what we do. And we can call on them when we need to help us advance the agenda. Here are some of the states where we've made some progress. What we do is we get into these states, we help develop business coalitions based on the community. It may be we may start in a community itself. We may not even start with a state. Usually we'll try to start with a business roundtable, or we'll try to start with a chamber, or we'll try to start with a collection of already invested business leaders. Some of them might be retired CEOs. They've got a little extra time on their hands, and they are concerned about this issue. And there's a variety of ways to get involved. And I would say that what you can do is, to the extent that you can use education funds or discretionary funds to support early education in your communities, that's something that that's worth looking at. Obviously, before you even get to that point, though, it's worth checking out what your state is doing. It's worth checking into quality. Is quality defined? It's worth checking into resources in your community for early childhood centers. What the enthusiasm might be around early childhood, doing some testing of the waters, looking at the school systems and trying to understand how they, as intakers of kids in kindergarten and first grade, how they look at early childhood. Surprisingly, When we started getting off the ground with this several years ago, it was difficult to bring the K through 12 system into the fold with respect to the aligning with our agenda. A lot of it was just political, fighting for funds, feeling threatened as to who owned a particular space. And so we're starting to see a lot of that resistance pass. And the K through 12 systems, be they private, charter, public, are starting to come around and understand that this is part of a continuum of education that creates highly functional, tax-paying, stable citizens. We keep more people out of jail. We collect more tax income. We keep families more stable. That's what it's all about. So there may be business leaders who are already involved or want to get involved in your communities. It's good to recognize those folks. Collaborating with local chambers, as I said, sometimes it starts with service clubs in communities. Sometimes it starts with United Ways. Sometimes it starts with just interested collaborations of unlikely messengers in communities. And then ask Congress to expand federal supports. Obviously, the President's budget proposal for $10 billion per year for 10 years is getting some steam behind it from our side of things.